Bug meets windshield. That's it. There's a whole philosophy behind the newest Deep Purple album. And trust me, by the end of this video, that image is going to make a lot more sense than you'd think. Because Deep Purple, at 24 studio albums deep in 2026, just dropped one of the heaviest records of their entire career, and they need to talk about it. Deep Purple have been pretty active over the years, might I say very active for a band of their age. And I think this is the third Deep Purple album that I reviewed as a new release on this channel. So every time a new Deep Purple album drops, there's the question hanging over it, do these guys still got it? Because let's be honest, it's a band where the classic lineup conversation started decades ago, and yet here they are, still recording, still touring, still putting albums out. So when I heard the concept behind this one, I heard people calling it their heaviest record in decades. I had to sit down and actually check it out. So let's talk about it. The album's called Splat, stylized in all caps because that's what they did. And Deep Purple's 24th studio album, out through Ear Music. It is round six with producer Bob Ezrin, who's been behind the boards for every Purple studio album since 2013. So at this point, the man basically speaks their language fluently. Lineup-wise, this is Mark 9. You got three long runners, Ian Gillan on vocals, Roger Glover on bass, Ian Paice on drums. And you got Airey on keys, and guitarist Simon McBride's second album with the band since replacing Steve Morse. So the concept here is very interesting. The whole record was conceived by Ian Gillan. It's about the end of humanity, but not in a bleak apocalyptic way. It's framed as a metaphysical transformation, like something ending isn't destruction, just the beginning of something else. And that's literally where the title comes from, a bug hitting a windshield. Sudden end of one reality, instant start of a new one, dark concept, weirdly optimistic execution. Musically, they went with short, punchy songs, all 13 tracks clocking in under 5 minutes, recorded live together in the studio to keep that raw, spontaneous energy. And there's a genuinely unexpected guest spot. Keith Urban shows up for a country rock detour on the track Diablo. Here's the thing, it's a very good Deep Purple album. It sounds like Deep Purple, and I mean that as the highest compliment. You could drop into this record at literally any track and immediately know who you're listening to. After all these years, with the three original era guys in the band, plus Airey, who's basically Deep Purple family tree royalty at this point, plus Simon McBride doing his own thing instead of trying to be the next Ritchie Blackmore, it all works. He has his own style, and it fits. Now, the album's not perfect. There are a few weaker moments scattered throughout the track list, and at times, it does lean into Deep Purple by the numbers territory. I wouldn't have minded a ballad in the mix, something along the lines of When a Blind Man Cries, just to break up the pacing a little bit. But I want to be clear, these are just minor quibbles. Nothing here actually drags the album down. All right, let me go track by track. The album opens with Arrogant Boy, the first single, and people have been comparing it to Highway Star for a good reason. Has that same driving energy. It tells a classic Deep Purple story, this time about a kid named Billy. There's a cool Airey keyboard solo, and about halfway through it takes this progressive turn into this Joe Satriani style guitar solo. Old Purple, New Purple, all mixed up.
Mackenzie celebrated with a bucket of wine. She fell in.
Then Diablo, the Keith Urban collaboration, and the second single. It's a slower track, more that Fireball or Who Do We Think We Are vibe. Really enjoyable with Airey and McBride trading solo licks back and forth. The Rider is the one song I didn't like that much. Lyrics are a little strange. It feels like a filler track. It doesn't hurt the album overall, but one of the weaker moments. Guitar solo is still good though. The Lunatic brings things back. Great Airey intro, dark tone, heavy rock riffs underneath, so it's a strong solo. The Only Horse in Town, that's my favorite keyboard intro on the whole record. It leans into that classic rock guitar riff with Gillan giving one of his best vocal performances on the album. Sacred Land is a very psychedelic, very 70s with Middle Eastern and Arabian tones. It's another great keyboard solo here as well. The Beating of Wings has a funky guitar riff. It reminds me of that Mark III or Mark IV era with Coverdale on vocals, but obviously this time it's Gillan. Guilt Trippin' is the third single. It opens like something like a Billy Joel record, but then it goes old school and psychedelic. It gets heavy in spots, with Gillan more aggressive vocally and the keyboard guitar interplay again. Scribbling Gibberish might be the heaviest thing they've done in years. Has that galloping metal guitar rhythm. That one really stands out. Jessica's Bra Now, I had mixed feelings on the title. It's a joke based on a typo. It's supposed to be Jessica's Bar, but title aside, song is solid, has a nice Airey and McBride mix. Third Call is a great slow keyboard intro, a pull straight from 70s Purple. Not a standout beyond the intro, but solid cut. My No Movie, another decent, non-standout album cut, but the guitar solo and keys are strong. And we close with the title track, Splat, a bombastic, prog-leaning, massive bass line from Roger Glover, some of the best keyboard and guitar interplay in the record, maybe one of my favorites, and a great way to end things. So overall, it's a very good Deep Purple album. It doesn't reinvent anything. Honestly, at this point in their career, it doesn't need to. What it does is prove these guys can still write, they can still perform, and still deliver something that sounds unmistakably like them. My score, 8.5 out of 10. So if you want to check out my previous Deep Purple album review, which is the album called Number One or Equals One or whatever it was called, I think it came out in 2024 or maybe 2023. But I'm going to link it to the screen. You can check that out next. In the meantime, thanks for watching. Please like the video. It helps me with the YouTube algorithm. Please subscribe if you're not already. I do rock and metal reviews, rankings, and more. And thanks for watching. See you in the next one.